gentlemen, I am Srania Hashmat, your social studies teacher. You are totally missed. Please stay home to be safe and sound. Today we're going to continue our new lessons in the fourth quarter. Last time we started with the Punic Wars and we took the first Punic War. Today we are going to continue with the Second Punic War. But before we start, we have to sum up what happened in the first Punic War. The Punic Wars were a series of wars between Rome and Carthage. Do you remember where was Carthage? Carthage was a large city located on the coast of modern Tunisia nowadays. And Carthage was one of the most important colonies in the Western Mediterranean for the Phoenicians. Don't forget that Carthage was the most advanced city because of its naval power. During that time, Rome had spread its power throughout Italy, but didn't have any overseas territories. We have to ask ourselves, how did the first war start? Let's think together and answer. The first war started as a result of the Romans' fear of the presence of the Carthaginians in Sicily. And Sicily was an island close to the Italian coast. Sicily is the largest island in the Mediterranean Sea, don't forget that. Carthage couldn't beat Rome's army, and Rome couldn't beat the navy of Carthage. The Romans realized that they couldn't win the war without a navy and build a large fleet. The Romans developed a strong naval force and they broke the Carthaginian superiority. It's very important to ask, what helped the Romans win the first Punic War? Much of the first Punic War was fought at the sea, so the Romans, who until now only had a strong land army, had to build a navy to rival the sea power of Carthage. So this is one of the most important reasons behind their success. The war ended with a Roman victory, and the Romans took control of Sicily, which became their overseas territory. It was the first overseas territory for them. After that, what happened? Carthage gave up all rights to Sicily and paid a fine to the Romans. Let's start now the Second Punic War. Let's read together and know more information about the Punic War or the Second Punic War. It lasted from 218 BC to 201 BC. Carthage made a decision and promised to take its revenge from Rome. Okay? What's revenge? To do something harm as a punishment for the harm that the Romans had done for or to the Carthaginian people. During that time, Carthage added new lands in Spain to make up for the loss of Sicily. In other words, they started to spread more to replace the loss of Sicily. The Romans encouraged one of the Carthaginian Spanish enemies to revolt against Carthage. As a result of that, in response, Hannibal, the greatest Carthaginian general, struck back, or in other words, he started or he insisted on attacking the Romans. Okay. Who was Hannibal? Hannibal is one of the greatest military leaders in the world history. He was one of the Carthaginian general Hamilcar Barca, who fought in the First Punic War. Hamilcar made his son promise to dedicate his life to seeking revenge from Rome, and Hannibal did exactly that. So he's going to take his revenge. Hannibal was one of the greatest military leaders in the history of wars. He was the son of the general who fought in the First Punic War, and Hannibal was so tricky, and he developed new techniques to surprise his enemy. He won battles by using new and different ideas. Let's know what happens. Hannibal did something very different. What did he do? He established a new base of Carthaginian power in Spain. And from there, he moved east and crossed the Alps with an army of about 46,000 men and a large number of horses and about 37 elephants. Elephants? Why did he use elephants? It's very strange to use that animal in battles. Hannibal was so tricky. Hannibal led an army of war elephants across the Alps, and we said the Alps are the highest mountain range in Europe. He decided to cross the Alps with these elephants. What was the importance of having elephants? Although many of these elephants died in the harsh conditions, the surviving elements successfully panicked the Roman cavalry. Okay, or cavalry means the group of soldiers in an army who fought in tanks or on horses. Okay. It was a great suffering, of course, for the troops to move across the Alps, the mountain range. Do you remember the borders of Italy? What do we see in the north? Don't forget that the Alps separate Italy from the other European countries, such as, or there are four important borders: France, Switzerland, Austria, and Slovenia. And don't forget that the longest border to any neighboring country is shared with Switzerland. During that time, Rome believed that no army could pass through this rocky and icy range of mountains, but Hannibal was mad enough to do that. This is the map of Italy. Okay, this is France. He is coming from Spain. He made a base in Spain, and he is moving from Spain to France till and crossed the Alps till Italy. Okay. What happened during that time? Some of the southern Italian cities rebelled against Rome or against the Roman rule and went over to Hannibal's side. So rebel means, what's meant by rebel? Rebel means fight against the government. So they fight against the Romans, and they took the side of Hannibal. Till now, Carthage was the winner, but the Romans were so intelligent. What did they do? The Romans began to reconquer some of the Italian cities that had been taken by Hannibal. Okay, and they also sent troops to Spain. By 206 BC, they had pushed the Carthaginians out of Spain. Rome realized during that time that the only way to end the war was to attack Carthage itself, okay? What did Hannibal do? Okay, of course, Hannibal was forced to leave Italy to defend his home city in 202 BC. This strategy forced the Carthaginians to recall Hannibal from Italy in order to defend their country. And of course, the Romans finally beat the Carthaginians as a result of their strategy. Carthage was defeated at the end of the Second Punic War and lost all of its overseas territories to the Romans. But it's very important to mention to be mentioned that the Romans followed Hannibal for years. They wanted to catch him, and this happened near the Black Sea. But in fact, he took poison to end his life in order to prevent himself from capture. That's for today, and goodbye.